up. You're going to look like a jackass. You're going to make mistakes, and it is okay.
Warning, the following presentation is intended for mature audiences. It includes stigma topics like sex, addictions, mental illness, adult dialogue, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Loved all the conversations we've had already, but I am always excited to talk to Victoria Welsh. She is amazing, beautiful, wonderful. I love her so much. And she's going to be talking about navigating fear with us today. She is a money and business coach. And Victoria, would love for you to just tell the ladies inside the summit just a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. And I already told you like how mind blown I am about what you've done here. Like, this is huge what you're putting on and what you're doing for others. So thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this. So hello, everyone. I'm Victoria Welsh, the Fierce Feminine Coach. I'm a conscious wealth creatrix, and a intuitive business mentor. So what does that mean? It means that I help women to remember their divinity, to align with their divinity, and to open up the channels of abundance. Affluence is the flow of abundance. So I like to call it the affluence. And then to make and attract money in life and in their business. Yeah, that's who I am. And I have a free Facebook group, and I mostly am found on Facebook.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you again for being a part of the summit and talking about navigating fear, because girl, you are like absolutely fearless. I've heard your story in like multiple different ways. So you are perfect for this. So I would love for you to share, why do you believe it's important for women to build their confidence?
Because I believe when we build our confidence, that it's easier for us to show up authentically. When we're not, what I have found is that when women are not confident, they kind of hide their true, genuine genius from the world. Sometimes they think that they're too much. Sometimes they've got limiting beliefs that they were told to pipe down, to be quiet, to, you're too much, or they were told things from childhood. I've come across all kinds in my coaching where women just have a fear of showing up authentically, completely real and whole in who they are. But it's imperative, because we are each, my belief is that we are each the divine light of God being expressed as an individuation of myself, of yourself. You're the divine light of God. I'm the divine light of God. We're each expressing ourselves as the divine light of God. And as the divine light of God, we are meant to show up how God would choose to express itself here on earth in its wholeness, in its fullness, God or goddess, whatever you choose to say, in its wholeness, in its fullness. And when we're not confident, we hide from that genius. We hide from that authenticity. We hide from that light.
Yes, I completely agree with you. So many women out there are just hiding all this magic inside of them, and they're dimming their own light because, like you said, they've been told to pipe down and to be quiet, and that, oh, you're too much. Like, you need to tone it down like 7 notches. And I've been told that myself, which made me, suppress a lot of my personality, and it just made me so miserable. But now living my best life, living authentically to who I am, has just made so many other things happen for me. So I love that you touched on that.
Yeah. And I believe also, Sam, that when we can show up fully and authentically, like, I mean, fully, and this is like, I mean, in the healed version of us, not the, because 46-year-old Victoria is a lot different than 26-year-old Victoria. So I wasn't healed then, and I would have shown up in loud and bossy and all, and be like, this is me. But I'm talking like in the healed, aligned version of us, the wholeness, that big light showing up that way in like the healed and aligned version of us. And knowing that there is that confidence comes, it's a quiet confidence. It's an inner knowing. It's not loud. It's not obnoxious. It is an inner knowing that doesn't matter if anybody says I'm too much. I know exactly who I
am. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm loving this conversation already.
I knew you
So
would because you are a confident being also. And I know that. Like when I speak with you, like I feel that I read your post and I'm just like, go, just go, girl. Like go. Like I'm always rooting you on because you truly show up in your authenticity. I love it.
thank you so much. That is something that I have had to do over like probably over a year and a half. Like even since starting my coaching business, I had to let go and just be the real me online and show up as the real me. So I love that you touched on also like healing from everything as well, because when you don't heal from that, no, you're not going to be confident. And when I was broken, I had my eating disorder, I was in my abusive relationships. And when I healed from all of that, yeah, I eat whatever I want, well, within reason for my diets.
Right.
And I actually called in the love of my life, which was completely unexpected. But I had healed from all those things from my toxic and abusive relationships so that I could, call in love my life. And that is like, I'm living proof that healing from your trauma can like literally flip you 360 and call in your equal.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship. So, and it's when, we don't realize it at the time because I really did consider myself like an alpha female. I considered myself a strong woman. I'm strong, I'm independent. I had already been a single mother for 11 years. I owned my own house, been a nurse. I did all these things. And then I wake up one day and I'm pregnant in an abusive relationship with a man who I had no idea who he was. As a matter of fact, I thought I was having his second child, and then I found out I was having his fifth child. So, like, completely with someone that I had no idea who he was. And you know what happens when we do that? When we wake up there, we're like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? How could you have been so stupid? How did you end up in this situation? You done gone and done it now, and that was I shit talked myself. Can I curse here? Like
Yeah.
I I shit talked myself for probably 2 full years. And my confidence tanked. It truly tanked because it really, our confidence in showing up in the world in that space really depends on our self-love. Truly depends on self-love. And you're not in your wholeness. You're not loving yourself when you are speaking awful things about yourself every time you see yourself in the mirror. That's where I found myself. And so it took a lot of healing to be able to show up. And that's why I say 26-year-old Victoria is a lot different than 46-year-old Victoria, because at 26, I was like, like I'm whole, I'm full, I'm confident. But that's an egomaniacal kind of confidence. Aligned, healed confidence is it's a quiet confidence. It's just an inner knowing. That's when you can really show up in the world.
Of course. I love, 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 love that. So now that we're talking about all the things confidence, what is the most confident thing you've ever done, Victoria?
I went into the military. I just, and I knew I was going to be like a freaking star in the military. I did. I was just like, I'm going to the military. My father has all these boys. None of them went in the military. I'm doing it. I'm one of 8. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. Like, I was doing it to run from my childhood trauma. It was like my crazy chaos of my house. But I was like, I'm doing this. And everyone tried to talk me out of it. You're going to hate it. Your boot camp's going to kill you. You're going to, you'll never make it through. Cause I was like, polka dot skirt wearing, matching heels with my purse. Boot camp's going to kill you. You'll never make it through. They're going to eat you alive. I was like, watch me.
I love that.
Yeah. So I was very confident when I went there. And that was that young ego confidence. That's what that was. Like, ego was like, I'll show you. But you know what? From doing that, from being that confident, and just saying I'm going to trust in me, it was like the foundation. It was the beginning point. It was the starting point of being able to do fearful things in my life that I was scared to death to do. And because the more we get evidence, the more we gain evidence, gather evidence that we can do something, That's what builds confidence, right? It just takes courage one time. It just takes courage one time. And you get evidence, and then you have courage again. You get courage the next step. And then you get evidence again that you can do it. And then you have courage. And soon enough, you're doing something that you were scared to death to do, but you're doing it with ease and flow now.
Yes, I totally agree with you that I look back at certain parts of my life and I'm like, man, I was like really nervous to do that. And I'm like, now I do that on a regular basis. Or it's like someone would ask me to do something like that, and I'd be like, yeah, in a heartbeat. And it's something that I don't even think about anymore because it's like, oh, well, I've done that like a million times now. It's nothing.
Yeah. It just becomes like second nature. And I watch this. I want to compare this to my son. I get to, because sometimes we can't read the label from inside the jar. We are inside the jar. Sometimes we need someone externally saying, but I watched you morph through this, or I watched you do this, or I watched you, because we aren't always, again, we're not always speaking to ourselves in the highest regard. We're always looking for the things that are wrong, but we're not always catching and celebrating and speaking to ourselves in the highest regard. So I watch my son is 11, and he's a flipper or a G tramper. And when he gets on the trampoline, when he was trying a new trick, I would watch him, and he would be his heart, holding his heart, like I'm going to try a double back flip this week. And then he would come out and be like, no, I couldn't, I just couldn't. I was too scared. And then the next week he would go again, and he'd be like, I'm going to try it this week. But and then he would do it. And then he did it the same way he did it with a triple. I'm going to try a triple back flip. No, I can't do it this week. I'm too scared. But this is the week for it. I'm going to do it. And I would watch him build up this fear, and then he'd have courage, and then he'd come back, and he'd have fear and like courage and come back. And then he'd go and do it. Now the kid is working on quadruple back flips. And he's like, I'm scared to do quad. And I'm like, you were this way at double. You were this way at triple. And now you're literally, this is us in life. And I compared it like to what we do in life. I see it in the coaching community all the time. We're so scared to try something, and we get a little bit of courage, and then we pull back. And then we get a little bit of courage, and then we pull back. There we go. Fucking, I'm just going to do it. And then we do it, and then we're like, that wasn't so bad. Okay. And then you can do it again, and you can do it again. And the next time something comes up, you're going to have the same amount of fear. And the fear never goes away. It doesn't matter at every level. It never goes away. That same fear shows up every single time.
Yes. Oh, well, just an example in the coaching community, I know so many like business coaches, they encourage their clients, hey, like you need to start getting on video. You need to start like talking to people and showing up, showing your face. And I was there, and I've seen other coaches along the way that are like, oh my God, I'm too scared. I don't know if I could do it. And I remember going back and like even seeing myself in my very first live video I did. And I was like, man, I was so nervous for that. And now I have no issues just going live and just literally having a topic, and I can go off and talk about it for 20 minutes. But back then I needed all my notes because I was like, what if I mess up? What if I say too many times? And it's like, okay, but you did it. And then it gets easier and easier and easier.
August was 2 years since I did my first Facebook Live. And I was working for a network marketing company, my first Facebook Live that I did. And I shared it because I wanted my clients to see where I once was. I shared it this year. And literally my clients were laughing at me. They're like, look at baby Vicky, look at baby Victoria. Because my voice was shaking so much that I could barely, and I was like, and I was reading but you got to start somewhere. Every single one of us. It's just that one step. It's just that one step. You don't get to see the whole path in front of you. If you can see the whole path, it's not your path. It's just that one step. If you just take that one step, just build up enough courage and be like, you got it. It's got to be a fuck it attitude. It's got to be fuck it. I'm just fucking doing it. Fuck it. I'm just doing it. Because here's the thing. Here's the reason why I say it's got to be a fuck it. Because every single person has the same exact fear. I'm not lying to you, Samantha. I'm in the process right now. I'm being subcontracted for a multi-million-dollar coaching company right now, and I'm selling their mastermind for them right now, and I'm speaking to women all over the world. I'm talking Dubai, India, Canada, Ireland, all over the world. These women all have the same exact fear. Every single woman I have spoken to has the exact same fear around her business. And it's so beautiful because this is the thread that weaves us all together. This same fear, if you just, we talked about confidence and being able to show up in your light and being able to show up authentically. If you just show up authentically and say, scared to death to be here, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's literally what weaves us together. That vulnerability weaves us together. It creates human connection. And other women will tune in because they'll be like, I feel you, girl. I'd be scared to death to do it too. I feel you.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I just love this conversation because I remember I was just like, I'm just going to do it anyway. Like, who cares? Even if it's bad and even if I hate it, I'll just delete it. But at least I did it. And like, it's like you said, having that like, fuck it mentality. It's like, even if I like get on for 2 seconds and I like forget everything, shut it off, delete it, restart, because you already technically did it once. So you know that you can do it. So just do it again. And even if you screw up, it's okay. You're not going to die.
I get caught saying the dumbest shit online all the time. I literally put up a post once that said, listen, this is one of the funny, I mess up online all the time. And because I call myself out on it, like women just, they come back for it. They're like, I'm here for all your mistakes. I put a post up one time that said, if I have to press see more to read your post, I'm not reading it because I don't have time for it. I have the attention span of a goldfish. This was last year when I didn't write long posts. I couldn't stand writing long content. I couldn't stand reading long content. It's because I had a block around long content. Somebody took a screenshot of my little tiny post that said, if I have to press see more, I'm not reading it. My little tiny post said, see more. You had to press see more on my own post. And they were like, oh, but I got to press it on your post. I was like, oops, I didn't know. Like, you're going to mess up. You're going to look like a jackass. You're going to make mistakes, and it is okay. Again, that's what makes you human. And that's why people keep coming back for it.
Yeah. And there's this huge mentality over failure that everyone wants to avoid it. They're like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to screw up. And it's like, okay, let's reframe it to the fact that when you screw up, when you make a mistake, you actually learn more from that than when you do something right or when you're a success at something. You learn more and you become better when you do something wrong. And
I invited it. Yep. I
and
invited it. Invite failure in, because if I learn through failure, I've just collapsed time in my life because I'm not going to do that again.
mm-hmm.
I've literally just collapsed time for myself. Like last week I did a filter on my Facebook Live, and my best friend said, "Don't ever use that filter, guys." I said, "Why?" She said, "Your eyelashes didn't stay on your eyes every time you blinked." She's like, "I couldn't stand it. Every time you blinked, your eyelashes didn't stay on your eyes." I was like, "Okay, I won't be using that filter again." Like, I won't ever use that filter again. I learned.
I love that. So, when was a time that you were overwhelmed with fear and how did you get through it?
All right. So, I'd already gone through a big change in my life in 2015. I lost my home to foreclosure. My car was repossessed. I filed bankruptcy. I packed up everything I owned and moved to Florida for a new start. I'd lived in Baltimore, Maryland my entire life. And so I felt like that was like my fresh start. And it was, for the most part. I really didn't get my act together or get back on my feet until 2018. That's when I really took back control of my life. Like January 2018 or 2019. I was just like, that's it, I'm done. I had codependency issues. I was taking care of too many people. I couldn't say no to others. So I finally had called this time, time out in my life. I'm just going to do for me. I'm going to go dive into my spiritual development, to my self-development. I'm going to, hire coaches, da, 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 da. And I did. And I thought it was over like the big midlife crisis of my life. This past March. I went to Baltimore for my grandbaby's second birthday, and I was supposed to be there for a 5-day visit. And when COVID had already happened, they had already shut down. My mom was in a nursing home battling cancer. And on day 4 of my visit, they took her to the hospital, which I thought was going to be a good thing because I could get to see her in the hospital. I couldn't see her in the nursing home. And when I arrived at the hospital, they said she's on vasopressors, keeping her alive. She's not going to last much longer. Like, this is it. And so my mom ended up passing away a couple days later. And it was really tough for me emotionally. And so I stayed a month in Baltimore to be with my dad, who's 84 years old, because I wanted to get him straight. They'd been married nearly 50 years, and I wanted to make sure he was okay. Mm-hmm. And on the day I returned to Florida, I learned that a pipe had burst in my home while I was gone for a month, and we lost every single thing we owned to mold and mildew. Like, the mold and mildew took over the whole house. So it must have bursted really early when we left, and we were gone for a month, and it was in the Florida heat, and we lost everything. And I was scared to death. I wasn't working. I'm my only income. I didn't have insurance on my house, so I had no money coming in from my loss. I'm my only source of income. I'm a single mother. I wasn't working for that month. I took it off to grieve my mother. I wasn't selling any courses. I had no residual income coming in. The fear was almost paralyzing I have no family in Florida. I moved to Florida. What is next? What will happen? Where will I go? How will I survive? But every single morning, because of the self-development work that I've done, I just kept waking up and applying gratitude. I just kept applying gratitude. I was scared to death. I had so much fear, but I knew if I stayed in fear, that my vibration would call forth more of that frequency into my life. And I just kept applying gratitude every single day. I would wake up when the fear would overcome me of where I would live. I would apply gratitude for the bed I had slept in that night. When the fear would overcome me of where the money would come from, I would apply gratitude for the money that my dad had sent me. When the fear would overcome me of how were we going to get clothes, how were we going to replace everything, I would apply gratitude that I had been away for a month and had taken so much stuff with me. So I would just apply gratitude for everything that I currently had, because it would take me out of the fear vibration. And when we're out of the fear vibration and you're in a space of gratitude, you can then build, you can then think clearly, you can then create a plan, or you can at least call in more greatness in your life when you're out of the fear. But when you're stuck in fear, you're only going to call in more like shit shows into your life.
Well, I'm so grateful for you to share that with us, Victoria, because I do remember that happening last year. And I remember you went to Maryland to visit, and your mother had passed, and you were dealing with that grief. And I was sending you so much love during that time. And then I see a post from Samantha in Florida about your place, and I just sank. I was like, oh my goodness. But then, like, I had no idea that you were dealing with all that fear, because you were showing up and I thought you were just doing everything fearlessly. But that's the thing, is no one sees behind the scenes. They only see what's online and what's going on there, but they don't see the inner work that we continue to do so that we can show up.
Yes, exactly. And you're right. And like, we see other people and we only see the online stuff, and we don't see what their process or how they're leading their self through it. And that was it. I had to consciously do that it was more than just every morning. I would wake up, I would have that fear, or so I had fear and grief, combined together. Did I freeze? I'm sorry. I would have fear and grief combined. So I would have grief over my mother, then grief over the loss of my stuff. And then my son was dealing with grief over the loss of all of his stuff. So it was like this combined, compounded emotions. And I just kept saying, like, I almost think that people were like waiting for me to break, because they were like, this is just too much for you. Like, everyone's just kind of like, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure? I would just keep applying gratitude. And the more I would go inward and just say, like, thank you so much for XYZ. I had Sam in my life at the time. Thank you that I have friends that can help me. She would help me go up to the house and clean what we could salvage, from the mold. Just thank you, thank you, thank you that I can salvage this, my dishes. Thank you that I was able to get my grandmother's dishes out of the house. Thank you that my son's video gaming system was with us. I would just keep applying gratitude for every little thing. And the more I applied that gratitude, the next morning I would wake up and the fear wouldn't be taking my breath away. It would just be there. And then the next day I would wake up and the fear wouldn't take my breath away for so long. Like each day it was a conscious choice every single day.
Gratitude is this super underrated thing. And I love that you shared this with us, because I've seen gratitude do so many things for other women in like their relationship and like their self-love. But for you, you were dealing with fear, and that's how you helped yourself get through, was with gratitude. And that's it's such a different example, but I love it, because then it shows other women that it's like, no matter what you're going through in your life, choosing to be grateful and to make a gratitude list every day can help you get through some of the darkest parts of your life.
Absolutely. And that's what I applied for this particular experience. There have been other times in life where I've been just scared to death to do the thing. Like last year, this time, I quit my job. I had been a nurse for 24 years. I had a 6-figure salary, and I just went all in. I burned the ships, as they say, and stormed the beaches in my job. I mean, with my job for my business. And I had so much fear there. But there's a huge factor around trust, because worry means that you are creating worry means you're creating something that doesn't exist. Worry means you're relying on something that doesn't truly exist. When you worry, you're actually creating that reality for yourself. And so even if I couldn't be fearless, I would just do everything not to worry. The minute that fear would come in, like, are you going to make it this month? Are you going to? But there's this beautiful thing about the universe. When you leap, when you go first, when you trust wholeheartedly, the universe conspires to meet you. Truly conspires it rises up to meet you. The people that you need will show up. The money starts showing up. The finances are taken care of. Like, literally, I quit my job 30 days after starting my business, and I've never had to go back and do anything else other than my business.
That is amazing. What advice or encouragement would you give to someone struggling with fears coming up right now for them?
I would say to them that, again, it's not so much of being fearless, because I walk with fear. I literally will walk with fear in everything. It's not so much being fearless. It is more taking the focus off the worry, because usually when there's fear about something, it's the worry. So you'll create a scenario, you'll create a story, you'll create what is possibly going to happen. If you just shift your focus from this worry into faith, and every time the worry comes back up, you just, again, consciously shift it. I'm not going to allow my mind to create a story or a narrative here. I'm not going to allow my mind to determine how my life is going to go. I'm going to, something in you, something greater than you is leaning into that trust, because we're never going to be without fear. That's our brain is built that way. We have this reptilian brain that's always scanning for things to keep us safe. We're never going to be, it's a beautiful thing that we were, survival of the fittest. Our ancestors survived, but they gave us this crazy reptilian brain that is always scanning for things to keep us safe. Like, we're not running from saber-toothed tigers anymore, but our brain still thinks it is. So it's we're never going to be without fear. It's just about taking that focus off of worry. It's truly about shifting the focus. And it seems like such a micro movement, but it is huge, because if you remember that worry is creating a scenario that doesn't exist, and that faith is the one that I choose, because I know that something greater than me is leading me to this, And then belief, true belief that if this is alignment for me and I'm doing this for my higher good, then the universe has to rise up to meet me. It has to. Again, going back to what I said when I first came in, you are the divine light of God. I'm the divine light of God. Here, and whatever your higher power is, it doesn't have to be God. It can be universe. It can be source. You're the divine light of source. You are infinite intelligence here manifested as life itself, having a physical experience. So if I am the divine light of God, you're the divine light of God, and you have a desire to do something, then you get to determine how life is going to go. You get to say, life, this is what I desire as my physical experience. This is what I desire as my reality. I need you to rise up to meet me. Rise up and provide exactly what I need to get to where I'm going. It's truly about that faith.
Yes, it is. that inner faith that is somewhere deep inside you. We have to look for it because it's there. Just like you said, our higher being. Our higher being isn't out there. She's within us, and we need.